Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconi here, and welcome back to Overwatch. So yeah, I know about King's Row being on the screen. It's me using a stopgap because I had nothing to put at the start of this video because I'm actually using OBS. Because we've got a few things to look at. First part of this video is going to be looking at actual Overwatch and some changes that are coming in regards to Brigitte, who has just gone live. Well, just like yesterday for me, like a few days ago for you guys. Who's gone live on live servers now. Now, there was a Q&A with Jeff Goodman, right? On the release of Brigitte and how she'll fit into the meta and other things regarding that, right? And the first thing that was covered was Ana. Now, obviously, Ana... Well, it wasn't the first thing that was covered. This thing I'm going to pick out first. Ana is in a bit of a weird state right now because she's not exactly the best healer in the game, except in some situations. She was very, very good when it came to the tank meta and the Beyblade meta, when she had that speed boost when she applied nano boost, and she built it really quickly because of the healing of the tanks that she could. Oh my god, she dumped a load of healing on them. Now, Ana has problems with the fact that she can't heal through barriers. She's very susceptible to dive, right? And this is what Jeff Goodman says here, because this person obviously said Ana's becoming even more trash tier because of Brigitte and stuff like that. And they say, well, would you make her like full hit scan, or would scope shots do slightly higher damage, or stuff like that? In terms of like scope shots doing more damage is a bit of like a Widowmaker sort of thing. And he says that we've talked about Ana, but they don't have any firm plans. They don't think she's far off, but she does bring a number of tools that no other healer has access to. And probably one of the most powerful things in Ana's kit is the nade. Because you get a nade off on an enemy team if they're coming in as a death ball, or something like that. They can't heal. Their healers become useless. So she is fairly powerful. She's just got to be used in the right situations. As Jeff Goodman says, she is a victim of the dive meta, because you get dived on by a Winston, Genji, Tracer, Diva, and it's deleted from the game, basically. So it's very difficult for Ana to defend herself against that. Yes, she can defend herself against one if you land a sleep dart, or you land a nade, or you land a few shots. She's fairly okay with that, but with dive, when you got all these big targets and all these lethal targets coming onto you, she's difficult to sort out with. And you know, I've been playing some Ana recently. I don't tend to play her, you know, with a Winston or a Diva, or I don't tend to play her against a Winston Diva. I like her. I like, say, on Numbani, if we're playing like a Rissa or Rhine and a Roadhog, standing up on the balcony and just pummeling shots into them, healing them up, I find that really nice. I tend to be one of those people that does a lot more healing than damage with Ana. And similarly, Moira goes down a similar sort of thing with that. Ana and Moira are kind of hybrid DPS supports, if you see what I mean. A DPS would switch to those supports if they were going to play support more than they would perhaps. Zen is another case of that, but definitely more than they would like Mercy or Lucio, I would say. Now, moving on from that, Ana was covered. Now, then we get this. This is Jeff talking about Brigitte and a possible meta that's on the horizon. Now, obviously, recently in the Overwatch League and around the place, we've been seeing, after the introduction of Moira, who has the insane healing output, a bit more tanks. We've been seeing quad tank, triple tank. We've been seeing the death ball, the ambulance, whatever you want to call it. The Moira meatball, where you have Lucio, Moira, Roadhog, Zarya, Diva, Rhine, and you just rush the point and trounce the team. It's very hard to stop, and the Moira gets her role insanely quick. Now, with the introduction of Brigitte, we're looking at that same comp, but with even more lethal aspects to it, because you would probably replace the Zarya with a Brigitte, and the melee healing output of Brigitte is insane. So this further buffs that meta. Now, Jeff Goodman has seen this. The Overwatch devs have seen this. And they've seen a tank meta on the horizon. And they've thought, right, we need to stop this before it ever gets any traction. What does that mean? Well, that means a buff to Reaper and Mei, as I've highlighted at the bottom. Mei's recently had a buff. Reaper's recently had a secret buff. Now, if you didn't know, a few patches ago, Reaper got a buff where his Death Blossom now goes through barriers, I believe. And Mei got an increase in her clip size and an increase in the amount of time people get frozen if they're frozen by Mei. Now, I have an issue with this. Big issue with this. Two issues. One is they brought in Brigitte and now they're going to change other heroes because they've realised, oh bugger, she's going to be OP in a certain meta. Now, Mei has just had a buff, right? It was an incredibly minor buff, but I'm seeing a lot more Mei in competitive, and I must admit I'm not liking it. Not because I'm playing against it, because I'm getting on with my team, and basically they're playing Mei in an unviable situation, shall we say. And if she gets another buff, that's only going to get worse. I do not want a Mei meta. Please no. Please no. Oh god no. And Reaper shreds tanks pretty well already. So do we really... If Reaper gets a substantial buff, then I think Winston play is going to drop. Because Winston's incredibly vulnerable to a Reaper. It's, a Reaper... This is what this is to do. It's to do with stopping this tank meta, but I think this will also handle a bit of the problems with dive. Because if a Winston dives in and they have a Reaper, the Winston will get shredded very, very quickly by Reaper. Very quickly, and especially if there's a Mei on that team who freezes them as well. It's difficult to play tanks at the moment, okay? I mean, I have 3 accounts, right? One is a DPS account, one is a support account, one is a tank account. I've been playing a lot of my tank account recently. And it's difficult to play tanks at the moment. Difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Especially, I've been playing a lot of Rhine recently. Orisa seems more difficult at the moment with, I've seen more Reaper around already anyway. I've seen more Mei. I think the meta's in a slightly weird place right now. Because I've seen less Winston. And that kind of moves me on to the next point, because dive. Now, if they're trying to kill this quad tank, triple tank, Brigitte meta before it actually arrives, then there's another question, isn't there? We have had the dive meta for 5 odd seasons, and it's not really been that well countered. Now, how can you kill a meta before it even is introduced and have dive meta around for such a long time? Dive meta is so powerful. So powerful. And this is what Jeff Goodman goes into here. Now, obviously, Brigitte doesn't do well for high ground, right? She needs to be in the middle of a team smashing heads with a flail. It works into this Moira meatball meta very well. But obviously, dive is still very, very powerful. And as Jeff Goodman says, level design. The map design with a lot of high ground lends itself to dive because of the mobility of the heroes. Because dive is all about mobility. That's why you have a D.Va with the boost, the Winston with the jump, the Genji with the dash, the Tracer with the blinks, the Lucio with the speed, and the Zen. The Zen speeds with the Lucio. And generally stays in the back line anyway, so he won't be diving with his team. But in terms of going back to a meta where Rhine would be fairly strong, or Zarya, or Orisa, you're looking at areas with very little high ground. And to be quite honest, there are not many maps that don't have a lot of high ground. Because even with Temple of Anubis in Stage 1 of Overwatch League, what was happening with Orisa? She was being boosted by a Mei to the high ground above the point on first point defense of Anubis. It wasn't the Orisa on what you might see in Ladder, where the Orisa would be on the lower high ground, if you see what I mean, right in front of the choke, which is what you see a lot of, and what a lot of Dallas Fuel played a lot of that as well, actually. So they want to try and, basically, summing this up, they want to buff Reaper and Mei to try and stop a tank meta coming in with Brigitte. But Brigitte is going to be a weird one, because she's not coming into competitive until Season 10. That's something like 37 odd days away. That's going to be May before we see Brigitte in comp. And it's going to be Stage 4 of Overwatch League. It's pretty insane. I was expecting to see Brigitte in Stage 3. But there we go. Let's not get into that. That is horrifically bad. And Jeff Kaplan's seen this, and he did say on the forums that they are testing this with Brigitte, and it may well change for Hero 28. But this basically, we're going to get Reaper and Mei buffs on the PTR very, very soon to try and counter a tank meta. The devs are looking at possible ways to stop dive being so prominent. Again, I don't see how they're going to do that, because even if you start creating maps with less high ground, right? Say the next 3-4 maps that the devs bring out are much flatter and much less dominant with high ground, you're still going to have the maps in the pool that have a lot of high ground where dive is going to be so strong. So do you have Hero 28 who may deny high ground somehow? Maybe? I don't know. Brigitte is meant to try and counter dive. Yet she's not going to be very effective with that, I don't think, at all. To be honest, she can peel and supports very well, if that makes any sense. But she's not going to be meta changing, I don't think, like Jeff Kaplan said before she was launched. But that's the first part of this video, right? Where we look at dev changes and stuff like that. The second thing is this. Welcome to Reddit. The curious case of Dallas Fuel continues. Yes, we're going to talk a bit about Dallas Fuel in Overwatch League. This is Effect, the trace of Dallas Fuel. If you don't know, I'm sure you do know. And he did a bit of a Q&A, and this is the translated version of it. And it gives us a bit of insight into what's going on at the Dallas Fuel right now. Now, Effect kind of wears his heart on his sleeve. He gets very tilted if things don't kind of go well, right? Now, the problems with Dallas Fuel right now, you got Timeo in that main tank role, which he just doesn't want to play. You've got Coco, who just apparently doesn't exist. You've got XQC out the way now. You've got Custer playing Lucio when you put Harry Hook on the bench. It's all very difficult with Dallas Fuel. All very, very difficult. But this is a Q&A with Effect talking about Dallas Fuel and his life in LA currently. So, there's all some very, very good stuff. Like, is Taimu actually Hentaimu? Okay, let's not get into that. What we're going to say is this, right? Why is Mickey the only off-tank on the Dallas Fuel? And this is a very, very good point. Very good point. We are aware of the problem and moved Seagull to off-tank. Now, we haven't seen Seagull for pretty much all of the stage. We haven't actually seen him for the stage, have we? At all. And obviously Seagull is predominantly a projectile DPS player. He plays a lot of Pharah, plays a lot of Junkrat. Now, moving Seagull to off-tank like they moved Taimu to main tank. He needs some time. Understandable. We have many DPS players, so it's even possible that I could do it. So even Effect could be playing that off-tank role. Now, Effect, I do believe, is quite a good Zarya. We've seen it on Li Zhang, I believe. We're discussing internally about teamwork between tanks and supports. There will be changes. So, at some point, whether we might see it at the end of this stage, or next stage, we might see Seagull come back into the lineup as an off-tank. Because Mickey is the only off-tank, and his D.Va's insane. And you'd only ever play Mickey on D.Va, I would assume. Mind you, this is the Dallas Fuel. So let's not guess anything, shall we? But with like a Roadhog or a Zarya, they haven't got a prominent Zarya in my opinion. Mickey's not a Zarya. Let's be honest. Effect can play the Zarya, but you kind of want him on a DPS role. So either you play Effect on the Zarya, and you sub in another DPS player. So you play Rascal and AKM, or I would say Rascal should be a Stonewall starter for Dallas Fuel right now because of his Genji and his projectile skill. And it does leave Seagull in a bit of a weird place because I don't think he gets in a team over Rascal right now. So he does kind of have to adapt somewhat. And maybe this is what he's said. He's like, I'm fine with that off-tank role. He just needs some time to get used to it. So that's covering that. So we may have another role change at Dallas Fuel with Seagull and off-tank. I mean, okay. Is Dallas Fuel thinking of signing another D.Va? Not yet, though talks about it. There are talks about it, so it's possible. Again, not sure about that. It goes on to, talk about a lot of stuff. Who's the best Genji? Rascal. I keep losing all the places in this. Right. It's been a while since the league started, but why is Teamwork still a problem at Dallas? So far, we thought our method of practice was the problem. However, we're thinking the problem might be with the roster, so we're looking for major changes. Dallas Fuel are looking for major roster changes. Now, we already know that OGE is coming in, right? But who else? Who else could be coming into the Dallas Fuel? Do they really need any more DPS? I don't think so. They've already got Rascal. Effect's fantastic when he pops off. You've got Seagull who can fill the role. Taimu, who's also a DPS player, really. I think they need... I mean, if Coco's ever going to come back, they don't need a main tank. But if they're never going to play Coco again, he's going to end up leaving the Dallas Fuel if that happens. Then they're going to need a main tank. They're going to need an off-tank. Whether Seagull ends up filling that role, we don't know. Their supports is a difficult one. Their numbers are there, but they need to start playing what they're good at. I don't think we need to see Custer on Lucio, considering you've got Harry Hook. These players need to play what they're good at, right? This is what I'm saying. Now, what do you think the reason is for Dallas Fuel struggling at the moment? Many reasons. It's like a complicated puzzle, so it's not easy to solve. Lack of coordination, individual skills and judgment, mental state. It will take a while before we fix all those. So, as we thought, there are massive problems, and it's not just one thing. It's a whole combination of things, and it's obvious. You listen to the comms. I believe on their last game, the Overwatch League gave us an insight into the Dallas comms. They were horrific. Horrific for a team of that caliber to have that sort of comms. Those sorts of comms is just unbelievable in some respects, to be honest. Yeah, comms is probably one of the worst things, but the coordination of the team is not there. I said this on Twitter. It's just not there. You've got Taimu going in and dying. It's not really his fault. He's got very little experience in the role of playing Winston. And then we get to see him on Reinhardt. Oh god, it's not good. It's not good. This one made me chuckle. Which team in the league doesn't have a weakness? Dallas, because we have too many, so you can't find them. That really got me. That was a nice little thing to say, even though it's horrific anyway. So, I believe there was another question here I wanted to have a quick look at. I know Kai is head coach, but who plans the strategies and rosters? Are there any problems internally? There have been internal problems, and we're in the process of solving them. I heard a new coach is coming, but I'm not sure about the details. So, could Dallas Fuel be getting a new coach? I would suggest probably, but I also saw the owner of Dallas Fuel also talking about this as well. He's not happy with the state of things are. I mean, no one should be. I mean, to be honest, Dallas Fuel are yeah, you can say Shanghai are the worst performing team in that, but Shanghai weren't expected to be fantastic, right? Dallas Fuel are expected to be up there with the Korean teams. They're not. They can't compete at all right now. And in terms of, yes, this new coach, if he comes in, what does this mean for Kai? Because obviously Kai is head coach. Kai gets a lot of flack, and basically the owner of the Dallas Fuel said everything is pushed onto the coaches. He basically threw Kai underneath a bus and said it's down to them, talk to them about it. It's bad. Who's shot calls in your team? How is the communication? There are no shot calls. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You are a pro Overwatch team and there are no shot calls. That's bad. Are players aware Mickey's diva is lacking in taking care of his teammates? I'm not sure about that, but I'm aware. So, Effect is of the opinion that Mickey doesn't peel and protect. This is brilliant because this shows us, and we don't get this. We don't get this with teams very often. And this is the first sort of thing of its kind, right? But this shows us the absolute, complete disorganization and lack of coordination of the Dallas Fuel team right now. And I think this sums up which player gets most discussed when you're getting feedback. Tanks and supports. I can understand that. The last question I want to highlight is this. Is there a partner and a comp you want? And Effects said, recently I've been thinking about me moving to an off-tank role and AKM and Rascal taking up the DPS. Basically, if you're a team, surely you want to be playing what you're best at. Effect is the best tracer on the Dallas Fuel. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Do you want him on the off-tank role? Now, if you've got Seagull training up the off-tank role, you've got Mickey as an off-tank, who apparently doesn't peel for his supports. Okay. And then you have Effect moving to an off-tank role. You have OG on the main tank, you have Timing on the main tank. All of a sudden, you're left with 2 DPS. I think the best course of action for Dallas Fuel, OG becomes your main tank, Mickey is your off-tank, along with Seagull. Effect, Taimu, Rascal, and AKM are your DPS options, because they all offer something slightly different. AKM would be your long-range hit scan, Effect would be your tracer, Taimu would be an option of a triple tank with a Roadhog, or a bit more projectile, and Seagull would be your out and out projectile expert, right? You've got your supports, leave them alone. Just train them up. And then I would say another main tank. Buy in another main tank. There are plenty of main tanks out there. You just got to look at contenders. There are main tanks available. You could have picked up Fact Fiction, but he's now gone to Houston. There are a lot of main tanks out there. All you need to do is go and say, hey, do you want to come and play for the Dallas Fuel? And then I would say perhaps we might be looking at a Dallas Fuel that has the ingredients, and then it needs the coach. Whether Kaikai's the right person to do it, who knows? But if, I think that's the way Dallas Fuel need to go. The problem is, if you have Seagull on Offtank, he's not necessarily playing his best role. Same as Taimu isn't now. And the question remains, Coco. Why is Coco perma-benched? Even if he said it on his stream, right? Coco said, I'm benched. I don't want to be benched, I want to be playing, but it's not my decision. So, if Coco can't say why he's benched, why is he benched? Bizarre. Because, I tell you what, Dallas Fuel would look 10 times better with Coco on main tank rather than Taimu. No offense, Taimu, but I know you don't like playing that Winston role. And Taimu, he's a very versatile player. He can play Offtank, he can play Roadhog. He can play DPS. So, the lesson for Dallas Fuel to learn is play your players where they should be played. And for goodness sake, start playing Coco. But that's it for this one, because that's long enough. That's half an hour of me talking about changes and Overwatch League and Effect and Dallas Fuel. And this will probably be the last video I cover on Dallas Fuel, because until things change, because it's just getting really repetitive now with the Dallas Fuel, it's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.